I don't want to make art. Anyways, where were we? Let's start over. Let's just disregard the whatever just happened there. We don't have to talk about that. Today, what we are going to be talking about is creative blockages, because I am 100% in a creative rut, and I don't know how to get out of it. So this week, we're going to be talking about my ways of coping with something like that, and suggestions for anybody, any other artist, any other person that might be experiencing some sort of creative rut, because they are the living worst. Because you really want to work on something, and you have the skills to work on something, but your brain just sort of tells you no. Try to not act insane in this video. I'm going to try to act normal. I'm failing. I'm doing poorly. So this week's video, I did a quick time lapse of a technique that I have perfected when it comes to dealing with creative ruts and still getting some sort of creative project out. It has nothing to do with my comic book beyond the idea that I made a character that's not going to be in the comic book, but I did make a character. And I'm going to share that secret with you guys so that whenever you experience these same things, you're able to cope with them and try out my little experiment. And also, you're able to follow in what I haven't really done before in some of my techniques in Procreate, which is the design software that I use for making my art. And so I'll share that with you as well. I took some screen recordings for the piece of art that I did. I don't even know if I'd call it a piece of art. It's cool, it's funny, it's cute. So we're going to get into the video, we're going to talk about that, and then at the end of the video, I have an announcement to make, so stay tuned for the announcement. It's going to be a big one. Awesome. Creative blockages. Creative ruts. Experiences when your brain says no to you, when you are constantly telling your brain to work and it's just telling you it's not having it. Those are what we're talking about today. They are terrible. So what I'll do, and it happens, this is going to be a continuous type of video, which I'm just going to start titling now. Let's think. What are we going to call it? Ruts. No, that's a terrible name. Oh, what are we going to call it? Stupid time. That's an even worse name. Yeah, even though that's what it really is. The insanity levels are just spiking through the roof. They're going crazy. Anyways, techniques for dealing with these creative ruts. What I do is I try to still do something artistic, because if you just totally not give up and don't do anything, then what's the point? What's the purpose? I mean, there's no purpose of this video if I do that. So what we did, or what I do, is I'll pull up my computer, my iPad, and I'll take my pen, and I'll put it on paper, and I'll scribble. Make just a shape that doesn't make any sense. And then I'll bring the shape down a little bit so it's easier to look at. And I'll take that shape, and I'll make it into a face. And once I see the face and the shape, I'm able to develop a character and sort of characteristics for him. And then I'll color it, shade it, do the lighting, and give it a little background so it looks like I did something professional. And so I'm going to show you the time lapse for that. I'll show you some of the techniques that I use for Procreate in doing that. And you can do that as well, and I'll explain to you why while we look at the time lapse. So let's get right into that time lapse. So here it is. That's the piece of art. So I'll start off drawing off of a squiggly line, the shapes, line art. Here we go. Big nose guy with some eyebrows, and he has a frowny face. My idea is not super original. Base colors, shading, lighting, and then I'll do a background. It's pretty simple stuff, honestly, but I'm happy with it. Meh. But what you don't usually see is how I go about shading things. So, as you can see, I'll take the color of the original base layer. I'll make a shape underneath what would be the shadow line. And then I'll fill that layer with that color, and I'll set the setting to multiply. And that makes a cool little shadow effect. And I'll do the same. See, I do it here under his nose. Some shapes to do that shading line, and I fill the layer. And I do that all over the face to cover up his shadows and the shading. as you can see here. So you can take the color actually from the top corner of the Procreate software and drag it into that shape, and it'll automatically fill the layer for you. And in doing so, you get some really high quality, I'm humble bragging here. Just quality stuff. Good shading for what you're doing. I'm just trying to make a little character, trying to deal with some creative ruts, and I think that gets the job done. And that's actually how I do a lot of the shading when it comes to the comic book, is just filling up these blocks and these shapes with shading and with the colors, the multiplied layer. Now what that multiply layer does is it takes whatever the base color is below it, and it adds value above it to the layer above and makes it darker. And by doing so, it makes an effective shadow. But the other layer type, or the other style type that you can do, is screen on Procreate for lighting. And it does effectively the exact opposite of multiply, and it makes the colors brighter. As you can see here, I'll do just a highlight over a lot of the line work for the shapes of the person, as over his mouth. I'll do it again over his nose, the eyebrows, his eyelids. And you want to have theoretically a bit more shading than you do lighting. Lighting can become a bit overbearing, and so I try to keep it more grounded and tight against the line work, as opposed to what I did with the shadows with these high blocky sort of shapes. Now, as far as that goes, I've been practicing with that for a little while, and it's been a cool little technique, and so I wanted to share that with you guys, a little to do when it comes to Procreate. Procreate's a tricky software too, so I'm happy to share with some of my techniques with you guys. Pretty cool time lapse. I'm ridiculous. What video's getting more and more just not coherent? Perhaps. What do you think? Not much, huh? That's okay. Yeah, I admit it's not much. But it is a good technique. It makes me feel like I actually accomplished something, as opposed to just putting the iPad aside and saying, well, I'm not going to do anything today. Because really, if you're working in a creative sort of aspect, it is important to keep practicing. And even though you might experience creative ruts, it's good to try to work your way through them rather than giving up on them, because inevitably they're going to happen, and inevitably these types of videos are going to happen again, and I'll be able to share my frustrations with you guys about it. But it's fun. It always is. And I mean, creative ruts aren't, but sharing with you guys is fun. I enjoy it anyways. I don't know if you guys, you're probably like, well, this guy's crazy. I don't want to watch his videos anymore. But please, just watch my videos. We're making a cool comic book. I didn't work on it this week, but next week, hopefully, we'll have a video about it some more. And then as far as announcements go, I have a big one. So let's get right into that announcement. For the month of February, I am going to design a piece of artwork, and I'm going to post that piece of artwork onto my Instagram at the very end of this month. And what I want my viewers and what my followers on Instagram to do is take a look at that piece, and if they want to participate, all they have to do is redraw it, but in their own art style. That doesn't have to be digital. It doesn't have to be... You can do it with crayons. You might win, because I've never seen anything done with crayons to a level like what I believe you guys can do before. So crayons would be cool. The extra points for crayons even. Now, at the end of next month, I'll have a poll on my Instagram for the top 3 people that send me their art. And the top 3 people will get voted, and the winner will win a prize that is yet to be announced. I know what the prize is, but I'm not telling you what the prize is until next week's video, which is going to cover a little bit more about this art challenge that I'm going to showcase. So we'll get into that more next week. We'll hopefully have some more stuff on the comic book next week as well. Hopefully, Creative Ruts can last a long time. Years, even. I really hope it doesn't. That would be a shame. So thank you all so much once again for watching my videos. I hope you have a great evening, week, year, month, decade. What else can I say? Day, night. Yeah. I hope you have a good one. Thank you again for ScuffStation Gaming for partnering with me. And they are a esports organization that does competitive gaming, tournaments, all sorts of cool stuff. So if you're interested in checking their stuff out, links are in the description, as well as my own links. My links now have The Young Dreamer as the title for them. I'm still getting used to it, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. Check it out. There's some cool stuff down below. And thank you all once again for watching my videos. You guys are the best, and I will see you all in the next week's video. Bye-bye now.